Comes the Blind Fury by Saul. She moved slowly along the path, her step careful, yet not hesitant. The path was familiar to her, and she knew almost by instinct when to move to the left, when to veer to the right, when to stay close to the middle of the trail. From a distance, in her black dress and her bonnet, she looked more like an old woman than a child of 12, and the walking stick she always carried with her did nothing to lessen the impression of age. Only her face was young, serene and unlined, her sightless eyes often seeming to see that which was invisible to those around her. She was a solitary child. Her blindness set her apart and placed her in a dark world from which she knew there would be no escape. Yet she had accepted her affliction as she had accepted everything, quietly, peacefully, gifts from a God whose motives might seem clouded, but whose wisdom was not to be questioned. It had been difficult at first, but when it had come upon her, she had still been young enough that her adjustment was almost natural. Her other senses had sharpened. Now she heard things no one else heard, smelled perfumes in the sea air that would have been strange to anyone but her, and knew the flowers in the trees by how they felt. The path she walked today was one of her favorites, winding along the edge of a bluff above the sea. On this path, her cane was almost unnecessary, for she knew it as well as she knew her parents' home a few hundred yards to the south. The sound of the ocean filled her ears, and the black-clad child paused for a moment, her face turning seaward, a picture of wheeling gulls forming dimly in the far reaches of her memory. Then, from behind her, she heard another sound, a sound that to any ears but hers would have been lost in the roar of pounding surf. It was the sound of laughter. She had heard it all day today and knew what it meant. It meant her schoolmates had become bored with their games and were going to focus their attention on her for a while. She tried to block out the mocking sounds, tried to concentrate on the soothing roar of the surf, but behind her the laughter grew. Finally she turned to face them. "Leave me alone," she said softly. "Please?" There was no reply, only a giggle from somewhere to her right. In relief, she turned south and began moving slowly homeward. But then a voice came from ahead of her. "Look out! There's a rock in the path!" The girl stopped and prodded at the path with her cane. She found nothing and took a step forward, pausing again to read the trail with her stick. Still nothing. She had let herself fall into their trap. She began moving forward again, but when the same voice came at her out of the blackness,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?